All right. Well, that was a season of Survivor. Let's talk about it. So Survivor 46 is now done, at least on our TVs it's done. It will never end on Twitter, but I figure we should talk about it. We got a lot to talk about with Survivor 46, but I want to start by saying that I feel more excited about the direction that Survivor is going in from a production standpoint and from a casting standpoint than I have in a very long time. I also feel like this season coming off of Survivor 45 is almost a polar opposite in terms of the overall vibe, and the identity of the season is pretty complete opposite of 45. 45 was a great season. I really love 45, but I think it really highlights the strategic aspect in Survivor. Dee was an incredible strategic winner. The season was kind of dominated by a 4-person alliance that stuck together until the end. And Survivor 46 was not that. Survivor 46, it did have very active strategy, everyone was playing the game, but it was uncontrolled chaos. I mean, you talk about Survivor 45 being ran by a 4-person alliance. Nobody could work together for more than one vote in Survivor 46, except for Charlie and Maria, who we'll get to later. I have a lot of great things to say about Survivor 46, but I think we should start from the beginning of the season in the pre-merge, which is a controversial pre-merge. Let's talk about the format of the new era and how it's evolving. I think it's fair to say that through 6 seasons, I'm a little bit sick of the 3 tribes. I think we can move on. It's kind of offered pretty similar pre-merges at this point. We have one disaster tribe. This season was Yanu, and they kind of pick off the weaker players, and the other tribes get pretty under-edited. They get pretty underdeveloped, and I think that leaves the season, or at least the pre-merge, feeling a bit underwhelming. I think that I'm ready for 2 tribes. We won't get it in Survivor 47, but it's okay. I like the idea of 3 tribes. I think smaller tribes, you can focus more on each player. But I think that going into the merge, we've seen a lot of tribe versus tribe strategy, and I'm a little tired of it. It feels a little repetitive, so I was not too stoked to see 3 tribes. You look at a tribe like Siga, who in the pre-merge, we knew they all got along. We saw them salsa dancing. We saw the music battles. We knew Charlie and Maria were Malcolm and Denise. But outside of that, there was really no coherent storyline for Siga. And I think that's mostly because Yanu was such a mess going to tribal. And that's a product of 3 tribes, If you're not going to go to 2 tribes, I understand it. But I think there has to be a tribe swap. I think absolutely we need a tribe swap in Survivor 47. And I would argue pretty much every season could use a tribe swap, especially in a 3 tribe though, because just the amount of potential relationships is limited and you just don't get as much interesting strategy going into the merge. All right, so the pre-merge itself, it started off on a very high note. I love a season with an iconic first boot. It's just, there's nothing better, man. Jelinski is one of the all-time first boots in Survivor history.
Last I checked, several means 7, not 4.
And I'm very, very grateful that we got that, because it's something that we haven't really seen in a long time. I mean, Jelinski's 1-episode run of quitting everything, including the Sweat vs. Savvy, the journey, telling his tribe that he gave 2 members of the other tribes an extra vote and gave up his vote. Why would you do that? He ended up getting blindsided with every single vote against him. He didn't even cast a vote. Is this the worst player ever? Shout out to Jelinski. He seems like a funny guy. All right, so you can't really talk about the pre-merge of Survivor 46 without talking about Bhanu. And Bhanu, of course, is a very controversial figure in Survivor history. One of the biggest characters in Survivor history, still has more confessionals than Parvati in Micronesia, or even Ben from this season entering the finale. Insane. I have a lot to say. First off, I'll start by saying that I do appreciate the storytelling with Bhanu, and I think that episodes 3 and 4, while it was a lot of Bhanu, and it was most likely way too much, they were very, very well told in terms of the story and his narrative, and I appreciated that. Episode 3 sees Bhanu spending the entire episode praying for a miracle, asking God, why is this happening to him? And then Randon gets pulled from the game, and Jeff comes and delivers the news, and Banu is celebrating. Like, what an insane episode that was. And then episode 4 is Banu's acceptance, and it was a lot of content for a 4th boot, but I personally did find those episodes amusing because it was a huge, really interesting character going through the stages of grief. But yeah, once Banu goes home, I think the season really kicks into high gear. You see Jem and her downfall after hiding the Beware advantage, and I thought that arc was absolutely incredible. I mean, Jem is one of the best pre-merge villains that we've had in a long time, and she had so much more to offer to the season, but her arc of finding that advantage, planning so much chaos around Siga, the tribe that had no chaos up until that point, just for Jem to get voted out because her own plan backfired, I thought that was a great part of the season.
All right, so that was the pre-merge of Survivor 46. In my opinion, pretty disappointing, but then we reached the Mergatory, which, people can say what you want about the Mergatory's existence in the new era. I personally thought it produced a really, really good episode. Episode 6, Cancel Christmas, I thought was one of the best episodes of the season. But I do have a lot of problems with Mariah going home here. I think it pretty much exemplifies what's wrong with the Mergatory and how it probably shouldn't exist. So yeah, this was something that Venus talked about when she tried to pitch Charlie's name, and she also talked about it a lot on social media after Mariah went home. Through 6 Mergatories in the new era, 5 of the Mergatory boots have been women. The Mergatory is such a weird state in the game where players are still really uncertain and they tend to lean for just a safe vote. And a lot of times with the more physical group going to the reward and kind of choosing who's gonna go home, they just end up picking off the weakest woman, and there really wasn't much reason for them to keep Charlie instead of Mariah. I mean, Mariah literally went home because her favorite player was Aubrey. Hilarious reason to go home, but still, you gotta feel for her because Charlie was actually probably more of a strategic threat, and it seemed like they were just trying to make the safest move possible. But I did love that episode.
And for you to say Aubrey is your favorite player, that is dangerous because Aubrey was setting up people left and right. And if Mo thinks she's gonna set me up, Mo can cancel Christmas.
Then we move into the official post-merge of Survivor 46, which is when this season gets crazy. I want to just shout out the humor of this season because I will admit, for the first few seasons of the new era, I was kind of worried that Survivor was straying away from the humor. It was becoming very strategy, advantages, twists, heavy. And I'm thankful that with 90-minute episodes and the producers cutting down on those crazy twists, we had no journeys in the post-merge. I think it was a lot less wasted time and a lot more time just hanging out with the cast, getting to know them. I think this season just once again proves that character-driven Survivor is the best Survivor. This cast was absolutely incredible. Q, to me, is the best character of the new era and one of the best Survivor characters of all time. His old man quotes never got old for me. Cancel Christmas, pressure will bust a pipe or make a diamond. I mean, this man was absolute entertainment from the moment this season started, but especially in the post-merge when he started his smokescreen strategy, telling people they made big mistakes. He was playing hide and seek. I mean, this man was playing such a unique game of Survivor, but somehow a game that really could have won if he had played that idol, but we could get to that later. Venus was another big time favorite of mine. I love the underdogs in Survivor, and I think Venus is one of the best. She was pretty hated on by everybody, and she did not care to change or adapt, which may have made her a bad Survivor player, but did make her a very great and compelling character, as she wasn't taking anybody's shit, and I respected it. I think it was pretty clear that Venus had the strategic mind for the game. She tried to pull off many moves, the most impressive of which was the time she tried to pull off a 3-2-1 blindside on Tevin at the Split Tribal. She just didn't really have the social abilities to get people to want to work with her, and I do think she suffered a bit from everybody being a little bit scared to be the one to go try and work with Venus, because people saw Venus as the person spreading chaos, and so they didn't really want to associate with her. But at the same time, Venus wasn't really doing herself many favors. But yeah, Venus's arc of trying so hard to gain some control in the game
to where she finally kind of starts laying low, finds the idol, and then gets a little overconfident again, telling Charlie that she has something up her sleeve, but she won't tell Charlie what it is, and Charlie just gets sussed out and votes her out the game. I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I don't know. We overall just needed someone like Venus on Survivor again. That confrontation was part of the reason the season was so good and so entertaining. Her beefs with Hunter and Soda and Tevin, just for all three of those players to go out back to back to back. So one of the biggest parts of the post-merge was the Nami Tribe's implosion, and I really think it's another example of why going to Tribal Council in the pre-merge is so important. That Nami group never went to Tribal. Hunter was way too good at all the challenges, so they never really drew any lines, and because of that, there was so much built-up tension. Nobody really knew where everybody stood, like, officially. And so because of that, they went into the merge and just blew up because they didn't know how to work with each other, you know? And a lot of that you can credit to Q creating the Alliance of Six at the Journey, where that Alliance of Six was kind of the opposite of an alliance. Ironically, this was a similar thing that we saw with Bello last season when Bello imploded right when they got to the merge because they hadn't been to Tribal in the pre-merge. So for future Survivor winning tribes, should you throw a challenge? Are we gonna see that? Maybe. But I really loved everybody on this season, I can't lie. Liz was absolutely hilarious, came out of nowhere to become one of the biggest characters of the season. She ends up outlasting the entire Nami group. Who would have thought that Liz would be the last one remaining? I even love Ben, the losing finalist, who may have not played the greatest game, but was hilarious and just seems like a genuinely super cool guy. Ben this season, I know he had more to offer than just his panic attacks, his night terrors, and, you know, his slogan, but I really appreciated Ben being so open about his mental health. He was personally one of the most inspiring players that I've seen. I love Ben, and man, that Final Four immunity challenge was such a great win for him. What a great moment that was. And by the way, about that Final Four challenge, thank God it wasn't Samotion. Finally, like, we get a new Final Four challenge, a challenge that we haven't really seen in a very long time in Survivor, and it was just really well designed. Probably my favorite challenge of the season, to be honest with you. Charlie, man, a tragic losing finalist, just such a heartbreaking moment to see his instant reaction to Maria not voting for him. Oh man, Charlie played a great game. He was a really good strategic narrator. I was a big fan of Charlie. You can go back and forth on if he deserved the win or not, but overall, let's just appreciate the man was a challenge beast. Like, he was great. Charlie was really, really great. Another great young white boy in Survivor. I'm next. And then you have Tiffany, who's hilarious. Hunter, a shy challenge beast. Like, I kind of loved Hunter. Tevin was a great confessional giver who felt like he would have been a much bigger character had he went deeper. I do want to talk a little bit about Maria. I thought her arc becoming the villain of the endgame was so interesting. Maria delivered her villainous arc up until the very end when she didn't vote for Charlie, which is unbelievable. But yeah, Maria, she showed like no emotion. It was just the way she talked. She was like a stoic villain. Awesome character, man. And a really good player. Arguably the best player of the season. It was just, you know, she got to the end and got a bit overconfident. You know, Charlie literally blew up his game when he went and told Maria that they were going to vote for Q, but Maria just didn't believe that Charlie would have the numbers, and so Maria could have saved Q there, but instead she ended up on the bottom in a situation where she had to win immunity. But she was an immunity beast, so gotta give her credit for that too. The villainous mom, I love it. Chaos Cast 2.0, maybe? Not really. I don't think we've seen a season with so much drama over the rewards in forever. Honestly, like, in modern Survivor, we've never seen this amount of drama based on who the players picked to go on rewards with them. It was like every episode. And yeah, of course, the Liz Applebee's moment was absolutely iconic, probably the most iconic of the season, but Maria making Liz and Q rock, paper, scissors just for Q to win and deny Liz food again? Too crazy. And then the very next episode, Maria's the one crying that she didn't get to go on this reward. Wild. But yeah, as I've said, I think the editors did an absolutely phenomenal job this season. There were so many scenes that were creatively edited. From the Charlie and Maria scene where they're both discussing blindsiding each other,
and it cuts from one confessional to the other as we see Charlie's pain and grief on his face, to the moment where they showed all of the votes being read for Q going home, something they haven't done since season 16. Absolutely beautiful moment. All the slow-mo shots and the challenges of Q hitting his target in Yanu's first pre-merge victory, or Q losing that immunity challenge when he needed it the most in the final 8. Those shots were just incredible. I also think the music this season was insane. The Flint striking in the finale, I mean, everybody's talked about that already, but I think it was so beautiful and just an incredibly good scene. Honestly, the music just all around. I love the music at the Hunter vote out. I thought that was incredibly suspenseful. Some of just the best music that they've ever had was this season.
We really should talk about that Hunter blindside though. Oh my God, one of the best blindsides in recent Survivor. You see Hunter the whole episode just paranoid as hell, creeping into people's conversations, just kind of standing around awkwardly. He clearly knows something's up, but he doesn't want to play his idol. He wants to leverage it to get some numbers, make a move. So he tells everybody about his idol, and then he goes into tribal and he's whispering in people's ears, freaking out. I mean, you can see it in his face. He knew something was up, but he didn't want to have to play it at Final 9. And he eventually doesn't play it, and he goes home. Oh my God, and that started the string of 4 people going home with an idol in their pockets. One of them with an idol in the Q skirt. What do I even say, man? Coming off Survivor 45, which was really cutthroat strategy about positioning yourself in the game, Dee played this amazing game of 2 number ones and all that. We came into Survivor 46, and this season was a lot more personal. I think it was a lot more about just kind of the vibes of people, and I preferred that. And what better winner to have for that type of season than Kenzie, the mermaid dragon, who just played such a great social game, one of the all-time best. And I really got to shout out the editors for how they portrayed her win, especially as a female winner, finally getting like a lot of content, being one of the main characters, which is a step in the right direction for Survivor, you got to admit. But Kenzie was amazing. She may not have played the best strategic game. You could poke holes in her strategy, but it was extremely impressive how she was able to bounce back from Banu, kind of name dropping her on the journey, calling her out as the biggest threat, and then she goes into the merge and is able to slide under the radar, make it all the way to the end, even though they spent the whole pre-merge warning everybody about Kenzie's the mastermind. She's the person to get right as you get into the merge, and she made it all the way to the end. I really did not expect it early into the season, but I couldn't be happier. Kenzie was such a great winner, and I just think it's good for Survivor to have a winner like that, a social game winner. I mean, we're really moving away from the GameBot era in the 30s, and we're remembering that Survivor, that's what it's built off of. You're giving $1 million to one of these people. There's no objectivity in how to play the game the best. It should be whoever you want to vote for, and so the social games are really coming back, and I love it. I think this was a great win. I'm super stoked for Kenzie, and I just think that, I don't know, I could not have picked a better winner for this season. Let's be real. Also, is Mermaid Dragon the best winner quote of all time? Seriously, we probably do have to tell Banu that the top half of a mermaid is still a human, but we don't have to think about that. But overall, I'm most appreciative that the producers really understood this season, more than any of the new era seasons, that the players are what makes a season of Survivor. And for the first time in a while, it feels like the producers were really letting them play instead of interrupting them with all of their advantages and twists and new stuff that really didn't do anything other than incentivize players to play it safe. I think that was the flaw that hurt the beginning of the new era the most, is that all of this unpredictability that Jeff really loves, the players weren't really messing with it. It was in all of their best interest to not participate. It led to a lot of wasted time and a lot of time that could have been spent getting to know people more. You can credit the 90-minute episodes for that as well. But yeah, I think that is the direction Survivor should be headed. Less of the bullshit, more of the actual characters getting to know everybody. I do personally believe that the best episode of Survivor 46 was episode 8, Hide and Seek. This is Q's rise and fall, question mark? Rise, question mark? Q is the main character of this episode, and oh my God, does he deliver. From playing hide and seek to try and figure out people's underlying talents, to telling people they made big mistakes for whatever reason he could think of, talking about being a mob boss, the Q skirt. Oh my God, man. And then he gets to tribal council and the vote isn't going his way, so he tries to quit the game. I mean, the amount of foreshadowing that they did for this when he tried to quit in the pre-merge twice, I mean, just such out of character stuff, especially seeing him in the Sweat vs. Savvy with Jelinski talking about, we can never quit. I won't respect any quitter at anything. Just for him to try and quit 3 times this season. Unbelievable. Another thing that really does deserve praise, because I don't care what the internet says, I don't care how many articles I read, but Jeff Probst was absolutely amazing this season. It feels like he's having fun with Survivor again. He's back. He may have gone a little over the top with the licorice and the popcorn, but honestly, I thought those moments were hilarious. What other TV host is doing this? This man has been in this for 46 seasons and is still giving the same amount of love and care, even more than ever at this point. He's putting more work into Survivor and just feels like he's having fun out there. And I love that. As long as Jeff stays, this show stays. It'll never be the same without Jeff, so we need him happy. Let's stop complaining about Jeff. Let's stop saying fire Jeff Probst. You're crazy if you say that. But for real, Jeff mentioning Jelinski at like tribal council, like deep into the season at the reunion, yeah. All right, well, my name is Theo. I run the Instagram page Survivor Lifers. This is my first YouTube video. I hope you guys liked it. I tried my best. I have too many thoughts for an Instagram caption, so I wanted to put it into a video. I'm gonna make my own kind of summaries of this review on Instagram, so if you guys want to check that out, I would love a follow. It would mean a lot. I'm working hard. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate it. I love this season of Survivor. I would have to give it a 9 out of 10, I guess. I mean, the pre-merge, wasn't too happy with it, but the post-merge was absolutely fantastic, and so I'm super happy with this. I love Survivor, big time fan. I wanted to show some appreciation because it was looking kind of rough for us Survivor fans after the first 4 or so seasons of the new era. So let me know what you guys think.
Venus thought that she could rally the troops and send me packing? Psh, you can cancel Christmas, girl. That would never happen.